Chiefs Chargers has taken place, and what a game! What a game! As you guys probably know, I'm a very big Justin Herbert fan. It was a fun game to watch. It was a 27-21 final. Chargers win down in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and this was a game that started out, it looked like there was a legit chance that the Chargers could potentially run away with this game. And the Chargers were up early, and I was definitely at one point, I was kind of like, okay, how much of a transition period are we going to have for the 2025 Kansas City Chiefs? And this was... guys, this started out, it wasn't pretty at all for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I went to pull up the box score just to kind of, just show just how bad at times that it was for the Chiefs within this game. And there was, it started out and it was about as ugly as it could possibly get for Kansas City. And and the thing is you also have to remember within this that the Chiefs were obviously down, not just Rashee Rice, but Xavier Worthy left the game. So there is a lot to go over, but man, did this start out ugly for the Chiefs. So let's go ahead, and I want to pull up the box score, just kind of have a play-by-play. That way we can go through each drive. But the notes that I have written down from the game: first quarter, definitely not the same old Chiefs. It was, like I said, they looked bad defensively. LA outgained them 145-33 within the first quarter. The Xavier Worthy play, I want to kind of break this down, and I want to have a reasonable discussion with the Xavier Worthy play. And what I want to kind of emphasize is this is how NFL teams believe, not how I believe. So within this, what I would like to discuss from Xavier Worthy is, he had an injury early on. We, of course, hope that Xavier Worthy is fine in the long run. But why teams are, concerned with guys like Xavier Worthy that are, not that every receiver has to be DK Metcalf for reference, but there's this belief that, if you are somebody that of Xavier Worthy's stature, that's, 5'9" or 6 foot, 170 pounds, and, you get hit on a play like that by Travis Kelce, the belief is that, their bones are smaller, and basically, you think of whether you're trying to, hit like a tree bark or like a stump, if you will, if you have like a big offensive lineman's bone, if you will, compared to a receiver's twigs, if you will, if that makes sense. So some teams definitely didn't have Xavier Worthy in their on their draft board doing some part to that. There's weight thresholds that teams have, and obviously we wish the best for Xavier Worthy, and I hope everything works out. That was an extremely unfortunate play, and that without a doubt impacted the game. And we look at the Chiefs here, punt, and then they had the 16-play, 9-minute drive field goal. And I will be honest, whenever the Chargers had the Omarion Hampton go out of bounds late in the first half, there was definitely a point where I was like, oh man, here we go. This is same old Chargers. And it didn't happen. I kept waiting on it. I think everybody kept waiting on it. And good for the Chargers, man. Genuinely good for the Chargers. Because this is a game that, like I said, as a Justin Herbert fan, I've been waiting on this. I texted one of my my friends group chat at early in the game that Herb looked on. He was on. The Chiefs eventually battled back as we knew they would. Now I do have, whenever I do take notes for these recaps, I'm writing stuff as as plays happen. Great play with this, great play with 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Now Mahomes deep ball, I wrote this down at one point. Obviously, the play at the end to Hollywood Brown, and there was a big play to Kelce for a touchdown near the end as well. And there was also the play right before half where they even got in field goal range to begin with, which was, I wrote down Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things. But Mahomes deep ball at times, it's not close. It feels like Mahomes is hitting his guy in the numbers, or it's 8 yards over his head, and I don't have an answer to that. But one thing that I did want to talk about with the Chiefs offense right now is there were plays, and kind of exclude the final like drive, if you will, the very final drive. But there were times throughout the game where it looked like the Chiefs had very little confidence in. I mean, this generally happens when you have your top two receivers go down. I mean, think if the Bengals had Ja'Marr and T. Higgins go down, they'd be a completely different team, right? But there were times where Mahomes' release, it seemed like he would snap the ball. He'd get the ball and then boom, I mean, immediately out. There had to have been time to throw, not that he didn't have time to throw, but I'm talking from time to snap to time to release from his hand. There were times tonight where it had to have been like legit 0.6, 0.7 seconds, because as soon as that ball was snapped, it was right out to Juju on those like 4-yard curl routes. And the one play that he had, it was a 16-yard quick snap little. It's not a slant, but it's not exactly a curl route either, but just a sit down route, if you will, where they just get the quick release. And then I will say that Patrick Mahomes tonight took several unnecessary hits that we're just not used to him taking. So that was definitely one thing to note, and that's going to be something that has to change throughout the 2025 season. Patrick Mahomes playing the way he did tonight, I thought at times was borderline reckless. I thought there were a lot of hits that Mahomes took that shouldn't have happened. Now, one thing that I do want to clarify with Mahomes tonight is there was one play in particular where he was going from, I guess, the close hash, if you will, on the field, and there was a linebacker getting ready to meet him. The linebacker obviously was like, hey, I'm not going to, drill Mahomes. I know what's going to happen if I do, because, big hit on the sideline, and it could be interpreted as hitting him on the sideline. So, kind of just pull up type thing. Courteous both sides. I didn't like the fact that Mahomes at one point had a 20-yard runway, and instead of going out of bounds, which both players slowed up, by the way, just very, courteous, casual, hey, like, we're each going to benefit our teams. Mahomes went right into him, and then the NFL page tweeted out, like, Patrick Mahomes lays the boom or lays the hit stick or whatever. I got to blow my nose. Ooh, felt a sneeze coming. I didn't like that, and that was one thing that I don't know how, if there is a way to police that, if you will, but that was one thing that I definitely was not a fan of. So we'll see how that if that gets policed moving forward. And I know you guys know which play I'm talking about, but that was definitely one thing that I did have written down as well. Omarion Hampton made a big rookie mistake in his NFL debut. It happens, but the Chargers ended up winning. And like I said, I thought Mahomes took unnecessary hits. Somebody did call out in the comments that Ja'Wan Taylor had a really bad game. I mean, there were multiple penalties. There were times where he was getting beat. Tuli Pelotu got him inside at least once. I mean, I wasn't specifically watching Ja'Wan Taylor the entire game, but it was not a good game for Ja'Wan Taylor at all. So let's keep it rolling here. I wrote down at one point the Chargers are unfortunately charging, but eventually everything worked out. And then what I will say is, I'm not going to overreact and say, hey, the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl because they beat the Chiefs in week 1. But I thought it was a hell of a response at one point, and I want to go ahead and pull this back up where we have the drive sequence here, where we have the Chiefs getting a touchdown, because this sequence right here, where we went field goal with Omarion, stepping out of bounds, giving the Chiefs another chance, field goal, punt, touchdown. This was classic. Chargers charging, Chiefs are going to win. We've seen this song and dance a million times. So, genuinely credit the Chargers for, for lack of better wording, just not charging in this specific situation. And give me one sec here. All right, we are back. So yeah, so I'm going to just credit the Chargers for not charging in that situation. That was a huge response drive. Is Quentin Johnston back? Quentin Johnston had one drop. I don't want to hammer home on QJ because QJ did have a good game tonight. And I want to pull up QJ's exact stats here. So let's go ahead and pull this back up here because I don't know his exact numbers. QJ finishes with 5 for 79 and 2 touchdowns. Hell of a game by him. And I know at one point it said on the broadcast, at least I thought it said that there were 4 Chargers receivers with 25 or more yards. So credit the look, Herb did a tremendous job tonight of spreading the ball around. I'm actually going to make myself a little smaller here. That way we can zoom in. But this was genuinely one of the best games of Justin Herbert's career. And that run at the end, I feel like, was the cherry on top. The 3rd and 14 questionable play call by Greg Roman on the second down to call a passing play, heads up play by Herb to take a sack rather than try and force a play, rather than forced incompletion and force the Chiefs or allow the Chiefs to not use another timeout. But this was a great game for the Chargers, man. This was a phenomenal game for the Chargers. Omarion, I think, will get going a little more as the season goes on. I don't know with Najee's eye how much, there's not going to be a 15-1 carry split between the two every time, if you will. So that's definitely going to differ or, even out as the year goes on. But for the Chiefs, I mean, guys, this team struggled throughout, much of the first half. They really did. I also wrote down at one point that Jesse Minter is going to be a hell of a head coach at some point. Tier Tart, multiple pass knockdowns after the open fist slap to Travis Kelce. But something to pay attention to for the Chiefs this year is there was a lot of pass knockdowns by the Chargers tonight, so that's definitely something to note for sure, because that was, it wasn't just one play here or there. There were multiple pass knockdowns, and like we said, there were times where the Chiefs, the time to throw was legitimately like 0.7 seconds, where he hikes the ball, boom, and he's getting them underneath. Whether it was Juju, whether it was, Kelce didn't have that big of a game aside from the big play, but that's definitely something to note. So now that we've kind of, discussed the game, by the way, appreciate everyone being in here. You guys know that I am a big Justin Herbert fan. Give me 1 second here, but you guys know that I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. In the meantime, please like the stream if you guys are enjoying, because this has been a long time coming. For Justin Herbert fans, this was vindication for supporting Herb through the past couple of years, dragging guys like Quentin Johnston and Stone Smart and Will Dissly to the postseason. Just BRB. All right, now let me, allow me to just have the fan shades on for a second. This was a spectacular game by Justin Herbert. This was everything we could have possibly hoped for. Like I said, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. 318 yards, 3 touchdowns. There was a graphic that came by on the screen at one point. It was Chargers quarterbacks to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a season opener ever. It was Dan Fouts back in 1981, Phil in 2018 and 2019, and then Herbert tonight. And this was against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just an all-around absolute masterclass by Justin Herbert tonight. And we do have 1 super chat so far. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate everybody just being here. And D. Genosi said, Herbert, that is all, with the GOAT emoji. And that's exactly what we're talking about. This was, I thoroughly enjoyed it tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's game. There were definitely a couple of times within the game where I thought, great, here comes the Chargers. They're going to charger their way out of the game. But this was, without a doubt, one of the best games of Justin Herbert's career. There's, even if you are a big Justin Herbert fan, I feel like you have to acknowledge just how good of a game this was. The ball placement was absolutely spectacular. Justin Herbert didn't panic in situations where he very easily could have. The 3rd and 14 to get out of that was a great play. Everybody's coming. He just goes out and makes a 19-yard run. What a game, man. Genuinely, what a game. This was awesome. I enjoyed this. I just enjoyed this, man. Then I'm looking at the comments now with the Herbert jersey. Like I said, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. But a couple more super chats. Pat having to correct teammates' mistakes on the sidelines is very concerning. It was, like I said, I don't want to overreact to one game and basically say the team that's been to the AFC Championship game in every year since 2018 is done, because that's absolutely not what I'm saying. But this had a very different feel. And now Rashee Rice suspended, Xavier Worthy out in the first quarter. If you do that to every other team in the NFL, it's going to significantly impact the game, obviously. But I still very much worry. This is a take that I'll have throughout the regular season. I still very, very much worry about the Kansas City Chiefs' ability to run the football. And I'm going to go back to the box score here and just zoom out for a second. When you look at this, Isaiah Pacheco, 5 carries over the course of a 60-minute game. Kareem Hunt, 5 carries over the course of a 60-minute game. You take Mahomes away, they have, 11 carries for, 41 yards? 11 carries for 41 yards. And one of them was to Xavier Worthy. The running backs tonight, 10 carries for 41 yards. 4.1 is not a bad average by any means. But you're not going to win games like that. At least not. Sorry, you are the Chiefs. The Chiefs will figure it out. But you're not consistently going to win games like that. There was. The thing is the Chiefs had cause for concern with the running back position all offseason, and they really never addressed it. Now I think there's legitimate reason to be concerned about with the offensive line, specifically with Jawan Taylor. And that was not good tonight. That he was not. He was not a. He was a liability tonight at best. And I feel like the Chiefs tonight, it was either let's kind of dink and dunk our way down the entire field, or connect on the one big play to Travis Kelce, or the one big play to Hollywood, and then just hope that we can get in once we get into the red zone. But there was also a graphic that popped up tonight, and it adds up for the Chiefs. They were not very good at red zone touchdown percentage last year, and the Chargers defense was phenomenal in the red zone, and that's a big testament to Jesse Minter. Eric Tangi with the super chat. He says, Herbert won me over tonight. High hopes for the Chargers this season. Love it. I have been hurt by the Chargers before. Herb really hurt me last year during the wild card round. I'll be honest, that was not fun. That was a dagger. But it's like I said, if you ever wonder why I buy in with Justin Herbert, why I think he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, tonight is why. Tonight is why. Let's hear Herbert. We know the super chat here from FTE. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone being in here. Herbert's poise and confidence was insane. Whenever he had the ball, I felt fully confident he was going to convert and make plays. I'm with you. There was really, this is over the course, again, of a 60-minute game, so I'm not going to criticize Herbert, obviously, but more of just a note than anything. There was one play where Spags called a blitz. I think it caught Herbert off guard, because I thought Herbert also did a really good job in terms of pre-recognizing things before the snap. He didn't seem flustered at all tonight, and I thought there was one play where whenever you kind of short arm things, you're short arming, so you're getting the ball out quick, and the ball, whenever you're getting the ball out quick, a lot of the time it's going to come up short because you were just, I just got to get the ball in the general area type mentality or type thing. There was one play on the left sideline where Herbert was throwing cross body, obviously because he's a right-handed quarterback. I'm a lefty, so this is a little different. But anyway, Herbert was throwing cross body and the ball was short, but just an absolute masterclass by Justin Herbert tonight. That's what that's the biggest takeaway. All right, let's see. Let's keep it rolling here. I know Pat did Pat things, but that Derwin hit was a game changer. I did want to address that as well. I did have that in the notes. I did write down there was a big play with it was second down late in the game. It was actually before. Well, Derwin James makes several plays, but there was a play where Derwin, and I thought this kind of just exemplified just how good of a player Derwin James is Derwin had 2nd and 6, or there was a 2nd and 6. Mahomes is out of the pocket. He throws the ball to Pacheco, and Derwin just lights him up. Derwin, complete stop of momentum. It was like, car crash, like right now, boom. Derwin's a hell of a player, man. Genuine Hall of Fame talent. I know using that recently. That's kind of become my go-to phrase about a player. And Derwin's awesome, man. He's awesome. But one other thing that I did want to note with Pat tonight, and this is one thing to note for the Chiefs moving forward, because this is not an exaggeration here, or this is not an exaggeration, an overreaction. Is right now, if you are the Chiefs, we obviously don't know how long Xavier Worthy's going to be out. So could he be out? I mean, could he be back next week against the Eagles? I guess technically, I don't know. But that was a very ugly, just the way that played out. That wasn't pretty. So there's definitely, cause for concern there. But there were times tonight where I thought Mahomes, and I actually had this written down, there were times where he was playing, similar to very, very high school, where it's like, hey, let's get the football snapped to me and let's run around and try and make a play and basically hope that somebody gets open while I'm making a play. And that was kind of in these scenarios where where he would hike the ball and then throw the ball immediately to the player underneath. I don't know what the solution for the Chiefs is, but I legitimately worry about the team's running back situation. The receiver situation I think will eventually get, somewhat figured out, especially with Rashee Rice and then hopefully Xavier Worthy. But there's definitely some concerns in Kansas City right now. And I think Chiefs fans have to acknowledge that. Not that their Super Bowl chances are completely done, but the running back situation, guys, can you go a full 17 games with what you saw tonight back there? I don't think so. All right. Marcelo says, was very impressed by Herbert's use of his legs. I was too. Herbert looked really good tonight. The one play I think it got called back where they were in the red zone and he got out of a play and then kind of was at the line of scrimmage, or was where the ball was snapped, went to the right, made somebody miss, and then kind of cut it up the field. If you know the play I'm talking about, you know the play I'm talking about. It was a hell of a play. Herbert did really, he like I said, guys, Herbert played one of the best games of his career tonight, without a doubt. Very happy for my guy. Very, very happy for my guy. Let's keep it going here. There was one thing that I wanted to, I like this right here from Michaela B. A Hall of Fame talent is this year's replacement for the G word. G word is, there was a big debate on the G word recently. I saw on Twitter somebody was talking about the G word in the draft process, of course, being a generational word. But yeah, Hall of Fame talent is kind of just my go-to, because I don't want to get into the, does he have the accolades? Has he played long enough and all that? But no, the Hall of Fame talents, it's a good use. It's a good use. Pat's deep ball has been inconsistent for a while. It 100% has. There was tape last year against the Browns where there was a couple plays tonight even where I thought Mahomes, and I this was at some point in the second quarter. I may tweet this clip out at some point, but I thought that there was a play where Mahomes may have missed a touchdown, and I'm talking like a 60-plus yard touchdown. It was a play where it wasn't one of the quick snaps where he just threw it immediately. It was a legitimate developing play, and I'm basing this off of only seeing it one time, so kind of don't hold me to this. But it was somebody on like a drag route underneath type thing, and I thought Mahomes just on instinct checked it down to him, and I thought somebody was coming open on a deep post. I think it might have even been Hollywood Brown. I will go back and watch the tape tomorrow morning, probably before college football, just to see, hey, why did Mahomes kind of at times run around like we were playing legitimate backyard football? But I definitely do agree that Mahomes, it's not where it was. It's not where it was. And there's numbers to legitimately back that up. So, all right, let's see here. D. Genosi says, Greg Roman masterclass, Spags disaster class. There were a couple times, I think it's just good play calling, or good on Greg Roman's part, because, there's going to be answers to everything. So, you can call the perfect defense if somebody makes perfect play. That's, it's going to happen. So I don't think it was necessarily a Spags disaster class, because, again, Herbert played at an MVP level tonight. Greg Roman did a really good job play calling, and that's going to happen. So, all right. Eric Reed. Who is Eric Reed? Is there, what do we say here? So glad I grabbed Herb in fantasy. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I see something about Drew Aller and Justin Herbert. Where was the original comment? Where was it here? Do you think Drew Aller is similar to Justin Herbert? I don't actually. I think Drew Aller he's a Penn State quarterback. For anybody wondering, or for anybody who may not be aware, Drew Aller is a projected first-round quarterback this year from Penn State. I think that Drew Aller reminds me of a young Ben Roethlisberger more than Herb, and now that's kind of been the comp that I've had for Drew Aller for probably a year and a half now. So, no, he does not remind me of Herbert, not in that aspect. Oh, and we have the man, the myth, the legend, BP is in the chat. Brandon Perna himself is in the chat. He said, R.I.P. KC, you're dead. There he is, the man himself. Love to see him in here. No, appreciate the super chat. And I would love to ask Brandon this question of, if he's still in here, of, does KC losing and Herbert playing at an MVP level, another quarterback in your division, how are we feeling? Is there any mixed feelings? Like, okay, like we got one out of the way, potentially. I mean, I don't think KC's out of the way, but for now, you can say it tonight. KC's out of the way for tonight, but we have Justin Herbert on the rise. So that's we'll see. I mean, is there any concern? Is there any like, hey, we got to flip the, gear the hate from KC and point it towards, LA with Herb. But anyway, we'll see. We do have Pern in here. We appreciate everyone being in here. We have another super chat here. Outside of Chris Jones, even quietly declining in McDuffie, that defense is severely limited. Hot take, they'll be a bottom 10 unit. Definitely a hot take. And I disagree with that. I disagree. But I acknowledge the point that you bring to the table, and I think that there's a lot of merit to what's being said. And in some ways, we saw tonight that Chris Jones, and by the way, I did write this notes down, and I don't know if anybody saw this play in particular, but there was a play in the first quarter. The Chargers were driving, and if you guys know the play, you know the play. If you don't, you don't, because Chris Jones played a lot of the rest of the game. Like it wasn't, he didn't even miss a snap after this. But there was a play where Herb was kind of in the pocket, and then he kind of bounced it out to the right, and he got tackled. I think it was by Karlaftis right at the line of scrimmage. And the way that it happened was like somebody's legs kind of like went underneath, and Chris Jones kind of like was like in the air at one point. And I legit thought his leg like did one of these, where like I thought his leg like just looked like this at one point. And I was like, oh my God, Chris Jones, please be okay. But he was fine. If you know the play, you know the play. But if you don't, then nothing to worry about, because he's, evidently fine. But that was definitely at one point where I was like, I legitimately thought for a good 10 seconds that Chris Jones, we were going to hear the extra whistles. You were going to see everybody, motioning to come out on the field. It was a scary play there. But I definitely agree with the point that is being said of Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie, and Karlaftis is a solid pass rusher, but he's not anywhere close to the Chris Jones of his position. So I get what you're saying. I don't think bottom 10 though. Perna says, Herbert was nice. I'll hate LA when they play Denver. Other than that, I've got no ill will for the Chargers. All right. Love to hear it. We love to hear it. Love the, that's what we love to hear. Josh Simmons looked good at left tackle tonight. I thought so as well. He also had there was one penalty from Simmons, but I thought he played pretty well. All right. Did anybody see? I don't see any comments on that specific play, so maybe I'm the only one that saw it, but it definitely scared me there for a second. But people are fired up that BP joined. I am as well. And we are all Bo-levers. We are all very excited for Titans Broncos. I'm going to be honest, Titans Broncos. Let's actually just go ahead here. I have this ready and handy. Just real quick, we'll just give a 10-second discussion here. I really worry about the Titans Sunday, because this is a brutal matchup for Cam Ward to go into Denver with every playmaker the Broncos have on defense. The reigning DPOY, and then Riley Moss and a first-round corner and Jahdae Barron and Zach Allen and Nick Bonito, and you're going in there and your top three receivers against one of the best defenses in the NFL, absolutely one of the best secondaries in the NFL. I would say top two. I would say the only other secondary that is up there is Baltimore with Denver. And your top three receivers are Calvin Ridley, Elikai O'Manor, who I love, by the way. I just don't love him in this situation. And a 3-year-old Tyler Lockett. And it's also a bonus because it's early September, so it's going to be pretty hot at 5,200 feet elevation, 5,280 technically, mile high. I worry about the Titans Sunday. Their best hope is that they keep it close, but I really do worry. I really do worry about that. All right. Shout out Joe Alt. Indeed, shout out Joe Alt. There was somebody, where was it? I saw a member, I think it was Jonathan. Jonathan asked about, did I see Joe Alt stonewall Chris Jones? I did, and I'm glad you brought that up. That was I live for the matchups like that. I live for the best of best, the first round picks on first round picks. And those are the matchups that I really, really enjoy watching. We're hopefully going to get to see, speaking of first round picks, I'm looking at the schedule here where we'll have Jermaine Johnson this week on Troy Fautanu. So Troy Fautanu missed most of last year. Jermaine Johnson, former first round pick. I'm looking forward to it. BP says, I'll root for Ward after week 1. I get it. Do you think Jesse Minter or Brian Flores gets a head coaching job next season? Jesse Minter, probably. Brian Flores, I'm gonna say no, mainly because there's like the situation with Tua and then his whole thing and all that, and does a team want to go through that? And I mean, if the Vikings won the Super Bowl and Flores led the defense to not quite a 2000 Ravens, but like a really good season, and the Vikings defense was phenomenal, teams would be willing to overlook pretty much anything if it gave them a better chance to win, but I would say probably not. But that's just me. Here's my hot take. Chiefs finish 3rd in their division this year. I think that's a little reactionary. But, I mean, I'll say this. The thing is the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They're still going to win a lot of close games. They know they perfected winning the close game last year, although this year's a different year, clearly. But I'm not going to, I have a very, very bold strategy here. And it really applies whenever, it's hell or high water. This is one here that, E equals MC squared and, the Pythagorean theorem and A squared and B squared and C squared and all that. This is right up there with those, in terms of all those science technical terms and everything. So be prepared to take this one home. I don't just don't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Just don't bet against him because there's going to be something crazy. There's going to be something. Just don't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So I'm not going to count out the Chiefs at any point. BP. Subscribed to... I appreciate the super chat, Brandon. I appreciate the super chat. And I know he's going to want me to read it because I know he's going to get a kick out of it. Conveniently, I'll point to the sign right here behind me. Conveniently, Brandon left the last 4 letters out of the YouTube channel name. So he is recommending to subscribe to Garrett Football. Anal is the word that he's looking for here. That is the word that he's looking for. I said it. I said the word. I said the word. Anal was the word that he was going for. That can also be used in a sense of, you're not that sense, but if you're you're uncomfortable with something, so it can be used in a different term. But that's he was looking for that is what he was looking for. But anyway, I appreciate everyone being in here. And like I said, like Brandon said, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Perna loves analysis. He does. Completely unrelated, but the Mozzie Smith situation in Dallas has me sad. I'm going to be honest, I don't know exactly what situation we are referring to. That's a hell of a segue, by the way. But, yes, so subscribe to the channel if you're not already. But anyway, Xavier Worthy thoughts. Yeah, my whole thing was, I kind of said this at the beginning, but there's a reason teams have weight thresholds, and there's this belief that basically, hey, Xavier Worthy's 170 couple pounds, that he is, his bones are a lot thinner, and that he's more, prone to injury because of, taking big hits from from other, NFL players that are 220 pounds repeatedly that, teams don't want to have to worry about that, especially with first round draft capital invested in a player like that. And not that this is an apples to apples comparison because it isn't exactly fair, but Xavier Worthy and Xavier Legette are like 50 pounds apart. They were drafted like 4 picks apart. Some teams would have strongly preferred Xavier Legette to Xavier Worthy because of the lack of perceived injury potential that would be there. So hope Xavier Worthy's fine. But we'll see. But that definitely is something to note. We have some confirmed believers in here. BP did get the chat going with the subscribe to the Garrett football analysis comment. I might have added a word in there or a couple letters under the comment there. But guys, I'll be honest. You guys know that I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan. This was undoubtedly one of the most joyful games that I've had to watch Justin Herbert play over the past couple years. The Bengals one last year was fun. There was one throw up the seam he had to Will Dissly in that game. That was one hell of a ball. But Herbert was on tonight. I mean, he was on. He didn't miss. He didn't miss any throw, man. Like any throw that he needed to make, he was there. Very, very happy with how my guy Justin Herbert played tonight. And I've said this during the Cowboys recap, but I really love the fact that the NFL went all in on having countless division games in week 1. We still have Packers Lions, we still have 49ers Seahawks, we still have Bengals Browns, Giants Commanders. There's still a lot of division games. Bucks Falcons, and then on Monday night we have JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Vikings Bears. I will be live for that game, so definitely be sure to subscribe. So you're here for Vikings Bears on Monday night. But this was one hell of a game. It was an awesome game all around. And 27-21 final. Chargers win 1-0. Justin Herbert himself, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. KP asks, have I been sleeping on Herbert? Yes, you have. This was a game. Let's hear. Somebody said Madison Beer has bro playing wild. No comment. Rich Wolf says Raiders placing higher than. I'm definitely going to paraphrase this one here. Raiders placing higher than the Chiefs this year. There was a word that the super chat used that rhymes with Chiefs, but you can use your imagination. We'll see. I am really, really excited for Raiders Patriots Sunday. I think that could legitimately 60 plus points combined. I am very ecstatic for that. Let's see here. Unholy Chip says Chargers receivers looking nice. Love from H-Town. Appreciate it. I hear H-Town is an underrated food scene. But anyway, yes, the Chargers receivers, Quentin Johnston. I want to get one thing off here just because it really frustrated me when it happened. It was the 1 3rd down late in the game. Quentin Johnston eventually caught a touchdown, by the way, to kind of, or a second touchdown to negate this. But the one play where Quentin Johnston had the ball and he was running along the first down, the stress that came with that play, I was like screaming. I wasn't actually screaming, but in my head I was screaming like, Quentin, just go get the first down. Just like go 2 inches to the left and just get the first down. That stressed me out. But that was that did stress me out. But Quentin Johnston battled back. He had 1 drop, but he did have 2 touchdowns. So if you can have 1 drop and 2 touchdowns in any game, that'll do. So appreciate everybody being in here. And the next time we will be live is maybe Sunday night. I'm not sure quite yet, but we'll have a video out Sunday night, week 1 recap. We will definitely be live for Bears Vikings. So I cannot wait to see you guys. We have one last super chat. Are you a Josh or Lamar guy? I think Lamar should have won the MVP last year, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 5,000 total yards. Anyway, I'll let you guys get going. Love you guys. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the support. Please subscribe if you're not already. We hit 205 today. Love you guys.